There was a DC band I love called Faith. Right, that was the name of the band. I love that band so much, I got 2 tattoos taken from their album. Right? And to me, that's a living embodiment that I, for the rest of my life, have this thing on my body that says, this is where you came from. This is how you were shaped. This is who you are. I got my faith. Right? And there's the emblem of it right there. You know, some people say, what would Jesus do? I just say, no. Hey, what would a good punk rocker do? You know, it's so quiet in here, maybe they need a little visual noise. Bob Apocalypse comes from Hal, from Allen Ginsberg. He actually mentions the line, this idea in the 1950s that everything could be eradicated with something like the atomic bomb. Blitzkrieg Bop was a famous song by the Ramones. Visual vitriol, because you're going to see a lot of the posters, there's a lot of menace, and there's a lot of anger, and there's a lot of bitterness. I mean, just look at this guy with the skin hand with a fist. A lot of vitriol, a lot of rancor happening, and that's what puts off a lot of people, especially, I think, the normals. But to us, energy, right, that's what that represents, and it represents turning this frustration and bitterness and rancor into a kind of energy, and using an outlet like poster making, or the dancing, or the music making, so you don't self-destruct.
This is what happens when we don't practice, is I say, when do I stop?
Most importantly, it was a do-it-yourself culture, and it was empowering for the individual. When you went to make a fanzine, you just said, I'm going to write. It's kind of like the blog phenomena, except put it in reverse, go back 20 years and say, okay, what do we do before there were blogs? We used Xerox machines, we made our own posters, cut and paste, or with a pen, or with whatever, and you know what, just pick up a guitar. You don't know how to play the right note? That's okay, that's excusable. Do you have the energy? I remember in particular this one, all I did was take a picture from Flipside magazine of the adolescents, and I clipped out their name, and put it on there, and then hand drew the name of the venue, which is Rotation Station, and then immediately just walked over to the Xerox machine and made copies of it, and we posted it all over the city. And then I realized, you know, it's about do-it-yourself. The idea is, why wait for somebody to do it? Crude is okay, informal is okay, raw is okay.
Everything that you said is running through my head. Obeying the broken record.
This is really exploring the death of idealism. I mean, look at the band name itself, is The Dead Kennedys, and it's the death of idealism, right? It's a very jaded and cynical view of government, jaded, cynical view of institutions, jaded, cynical views of institutions that represent any form of power. You got the elements of the macabre or the gothic on some of them. Religion, obviously, for the Dead Kennedys, poking fun, this idea of religious iconography with money as the backdrop. You know, religion for profit, or Christ for profit, and things of that nature. The sort of puppeteering over here at the Channel X, and the way I like to think of that, Channel 3 of X, is that you know, we're puppets, right? And that we're being you know, guided or shaped by forces. And again, over here you have this innocence lost. If I had a soul left to give, what's happened to our soul? Have we become disembodied? Have we lost a sense of that? And music steps in and tries to reclaim the soul.
Hanging out their T-tops, thinking that they're cool.
Biscuit's probably one of the last great poster artists who never relied for a single instant on computers or typewriters. Everything was cut and paste, or everything was drawn by hand, and I think that makes him really very unique, especially in the punk poster tradition and in the self-taught artist tradition. The black and white art, he made some of it in black and white, specifically for black and white, specifically for Xerox machines. And what he's interested in is the juxtaposition of images, right? Putting the two side by side. So here you have Steve McQueen, one of the great actors, who we all love, and especially his car movies where he's a driver and stuff, where he's escaping from prison or escaping from an island. We got it next to like Tonka trucks with these handmade clowns, with this dream thing, but it's also his brain in this case is made from a wristwatch. Right? And so you get this idea of who is this mechanical Steve McQueen, and I just think it's interesting. So it brings up all these endless possibilities of suggestions when you combine these images together. He's poking fun at things. He's and stuff. He's not too serious. That's what we take from sort of the Zap comic tradition, which is it's okay to be tasteless. It's okay to be irreverent. It's okay to poke fun at everybody, including the culture you're part of. I think that's part of what he's showing. Here's Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols. Most of us say, well, Johnny Rotten, he's an icon. He's like, there's almost like he's a god or something, but he's like, no. So he puts him down on the floor looking like he's about to get his butt beat by some cowboy or something like that. I think you'd be hard-pressed not to find comedic elements within these. And I call them the soldier of fun. Partly because the big boys had a record called Fun, 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 but partly because it seems like what you're actually partaking of is a moment of joy. To me, I want to save it, and I want to preserve it, and I want to share it. And so one of my goals has always been that to collect it but make it available either online, doing poster shows, sending it to people in Australia or sending it to people across the world, and making sure they understand what a valuable contribution that these anonymous artists, for the most part young, mostly self-taught, mostly anonymous, have made to pop culture. And I worry that if not me, then who? But I don't want to deal with this, I don't want to deal with this, I don't want to send another email, I don't want to do another poster show, but if not me, who? And I'm worried it's going to disappear, and some of these people are my friends, and the last thing I want to happen is them disappear into a black hole.